Hello, this is a Bluthner style 4 grand piano that's 5 foot long, made in 1935, just come into stock. Just assessing the piano to see what work might improve it. We did actually sell this piano in 2016. It was repolished apparently in 1987 and was also had new action standards fitted in 2012, I believe, by a Bluthner piano technician. So that's encouraging, and the polish, as you can see, is pretty immaculate actually, very similar to what we would do. There's a scuff there which we will try and make good, and apart from that, I'm looking around it and didn't really see any particular fading or damage to the polish, so that's certainly very encouraging, as I say, because we don't have to worry too much about the casework. The top of the piano doesn't seem to have any fade line at all either, and the polish is very well done. I think it's French polished, and generally extremely good condition right throughout. So it's a typical Bluthner 4 grand piano that we're always trying to source, as I mentioned before, and the key tops are perfect. And it was buff when we originally sold it, and there's no scratch marks or anything on it, so I think probably it's hardly been used, because you would either need rebuffing it, it's been used a lot, or you'd see little scratch marks on the keys, but they're all absolutely immaculate ivories. Now the piano was 1 beat flat, that's A439, so I took the opportunity to pitch raise it. It's now just over 441, and that allowed me to check the tuning pins to make sure they're tight, which they are. I think these are original Bluthner strings here. It's the style of coning that they used originally, unless at some stage Bluthner restrung it, of course, but I think they are. The tuning pins are reasonably small, and exactly the style that you get. There's a typical, pretty unique style where they cone and get very thin indeed near the end of the coning there. I don't know if you can show you that on the video. There we are. See that one, for instance. There is typical Bluthner coning. So that's unique to them, I think. And there's the serial number and the decal, we call it, on the piano, 1935, and there's some dates on it. The latest date there is 1929. That's the typical decal that you get on Bluthners. So the action was reconditioned in 1912 by a Bluthner technician who put new action standards, that's these here. I've just recently done a video showing the fissures that can open up in the original metal. It's very common on Bluthner Star 4 and similar pianos of that age, 1935. That's encouraging that that's been done, and I'm just going through the piano to see what sort of regulation might need doing. So we need to reduce the hammer height a little bit, so it was 51 down to 47. I think probably that's where we'll leave it. It's a lot to do with feeling the right touch, and 47 is the normal one, though sometimes new pianos vary slightly between about 48 and 45. I think that's probably correct. If you're a new piano, if you see a lot of new pianos, you're a technician, you might like to comment. So it's not necessarily going to be always 47, which is what we'd normally set it at. Just showing you there that they should be checking like that, and then as we release my finger a little bit, the back check releases and it goes upwards. That means the spring is well adjusted. There's the spring adjuster here, so they are quite well adjusted generally, just minor regulation really to improve it. So the hammers were also refaced in 2012 apparently, and minor markings on the hammers since then, so really not much use since that happened, and there's plenty of felt left. You can see that since the piano was polished, it's faded on the side and faded all round slightly, as polishing always does. Here seems to be almost like the original, so I'm not quite sure why that part wasn't faded and this was, but it looks fine really. So here's the worksheet summary of what I've been mentioning, and the main work that we need to do is general regulation and weighting the keys. In 2015, when we originally sold this piano, we didn't do quite so much work of fine refinement of the key weights, and we realised that that's something that's really important to musicians, so more and more we're trying to learn to do that as well as possible. So we'll be setting that, as many times, and normally at 50 grams in the middle, 52 there, and 48 in the top treble, plus or minus 2 grams is usually the closest we can get, just like a new piano. So you can study on this piano as well as you can on a new piano when that's been done. So just comparing the tone of this with other grand pianos in the shop. This is a restored Bluthner Steinweg from 1926. And this is a new 48179, so a longer piano. The Bluthner, I should have mentioned, is 160 centimetres long. So that's the Bluthner Style 4 grand piano made in 1935, and the kind of piano we're always trying to source. We have just had one recently in, and it's been loaned to somebody whose piano we're working on, so that will come back in at some stage. But I'm really grateful to get this one in because many people have been inquiring. If you are interested, please do write to us, info@robertspianos.com. I'm going to start again. Just keep going. So that's a Bluthner Style 4 grand piano, 150 centimetres long. It's actually slightly longer for some reason, but it's 155. But it's a Style 4, and that's 5 foot, just over 5 foot. This one, so 5'1" or so. And we're always grateful to get one of these in. They're in great demand, and in fact we have one in stock, but it's on loan to someone whose piano we're working on. So I'm pleased to be able to fill in with this one in the meantime. We do need as many as we can get, actually, they're so popular. So this one we sold in 2015, sorry, and it's come back in. So there's refinement work to do on it. But basically, it's almost exactly the same condition as when we sold it. The keys are still very shiny with no scratches, which means it's hardly been used. Now they're notoriously mellow. That's the characteristic that Bluthner Grands have. In fact, the longer ones too. And this is no exception. It's a very mellow sounding piano. So ideal for a small room. And an exquisite tone throughout. So if you are interested in the piano, please do write to us, info@robertspianos.com, and let us know what you'd like to do. If you want to try the piano out for a while, that's a possibility as well. Just write and say what you'd like to do, and we'll try and help. Thank you very much for listening.